This is my Drop CSTM80 Lord of the Rings Dwarven Keyboard build. Drop has many different Lord of the Rings themed keycap sets, artisan keycaps, desk mats, and they also have these Lord of the Ring themed top decorative covers for their CSTM80 and CSTM65 keyboards. Among all these items, I like the Dwarven ones the most, so I wanted to build a Dwarven CSTM80 keyboard. I started with a bare bones CSTM80 keyboard. I installed tactile Boba U40 switches, this Dwarvish keycap set, and a Dwarven top cover. I'm following a Gandalf versus Balrog theme here, so I have Balrog and Gandalf artisan keycaps installed here as well. I have a Balrog, Gandalf, Flame of Anor, Flame of Udun artisan keycaps installed on the top row here, and I have this spacebar keycap showing Gandalf fighting Balrog on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. I also added the 320 by 240 TFT LCD display on the keyboard and an ESP32 D1 mini board to drive the LCD. This is the ESP32 D1 mini board I have installed in the keyboard to drive the LCD display. Later on in the video, I'll take the top cover off and show you guys how I install the ESP32 board and the screen in this keyboard. It's important to know that whether you buy the bare bones kit or you buy a pre-built CSTM80 keyboard, it does not come with this LCD display. This is something you have to install yourself. The ESP32 D1 mini board here is programmed to connect to Wi-Fi at startup, get date and time from pool.ntp.org, and then display the GIF and date and time on screen. On screen here, it shows the GIF showing Gandalf fighting Balrog on the mountains, and at the bottom of the screen you can see the date and time. You are not limited to displaying date and time only. ESP32 has Wi-Fi capability, so you can program it to get different information and display that on screen if you like. Now I'll show you how I install the screen and the ESP32 board on the keyboard. First, I'll take this top cover off and I'll take off all these screws to get the PCB assembly out. Once you have taken all the screws out, you can just take this cover off and the PCB assembly just comes out very easily. Now you want to flip this assembly over. You can look at the PCB. Now to power your ESP32 D1 mini board, you need to supply it with 5 volt. And to do that, you need to take 5 volt from the keyboard. If you look at the PCB assembly, this little chip over here is your 5 volt to 3.3 volt voltage regulator, and pin 1 and 2 here are your 5 volt and ground pin. You need to bring those 5 volt and ground pins out to power your ESP32 D1 mini board. What I'm doing here is I have this green wire soldered on pin 1 of the voltage regulator, which is your 5 volt pin, but the ground wire I'm taking from the SWD interface down here. Now you can search online for SWD interface pinout and it will show you that pin number 3 is your ground. So my 5 volt is coming from the voltage regulator and the ground wire is coming from the SWD interface, and these wires are traveling here and they come out of the switch hole to power my ESP32 D1 board. The wires coming out of the switch hole will power your ESP32 D1 mini board. Here you can see my ESP32 D1 mini board is sitting right underneath the LCD screen. I've mentioned the link to the GitHub repository for this project in the description, and in the GitHub repository you will find the source code for the ESP32 D1 mini board, and you'll find a schematic that shows you all the wiring connections you need to make from ESP32 mini to the LCD screen. While making the connections, try to keep the wire length as short as possible, and once you've made all the connection, you want to stick the LCD screen on top of the ESP32 mini board like this. And to do that, you will need to put some double-sided tape on the left side here, and some double-sided tape on the right side here, and some protective covering on these components. And then you'll stick the LCD screen on your ESP32 mini board like this, and then you'll connect your ESP32 board to your PC with the USB-C cable and program the source code on the ESP32 mini board. And then you can disconnect your ESP32 from your PC, and the 5V and ground wire that you brought out of the switch hole here will power your ESP32 board. And then you can just stick this assembly in this area with some double-sided tape and you're good to go. Now you want to plug your USB cable in to see that everything is working fine. And it is. And now you're good to go. You can put all the screws back in and all the covers back in, and the keyboard is ready. I've just assembled the keyboard back, and I'm going to put this top cover on. And the keyboard is good to go. You can plug in your USB-C cable. And there you go, the keyboard is ready. Other than the LCD screen, this is your standard Drop CSTM80 mechanical keyboard with Boba U40 tactile switches.